All right, guys, we are here with Barry Page. Barry, you want to let us, everybody who might not know who you are and why they should care that you're here tonight? Or
Okay, thank you for
your
the.
perspective?
Yeah, okay, cool. So obviously, as Chris just said, my name's Barry Page. I've been a freelancer now for possibly 5 to 6 years in the SEO space. I currently still have a freelancing business in the SEO space that makes multiple six figures and all those sort of things. I have a team working with me, and now I have a Facebook group that basically teaches people to follow what I did and hopefully help people in Chris's Legiit group and people with their own kind of freelancing offsite and stuff like that. The group is called the Freelancers Templar, if you're interested in that. And there's about 720, 730 people in there right now, and we're kind of growing every day. So, so that's my intro.
Awesome. If you want to check out that group, it's actually the link scrolling across your screen will direct you to it. I figured it was easier to just shorten it like that than to put a Facebook link.
Yeah.
So that's cool though. Barry's one of the few people I can go to and talk to about the freelance business. No offense to anybody else, but because we've kind of been through some of the same things, and even though we've both been very successful with it, we have much different ways of going about it, and I think that's why it's been cool to kind of get to know him and work with him on stuff. So
yeah, definitely. I feel the same as well. I mean, there's things that I've learned from you over the years, and hopefully I've sort of thrown some things your way as well, and it's sort of it's been a good sort of relationship to sort of see you grow from your freelancing gig into what has now turned into a really good marketplace. So I know people in my real life that actually use your marketplace and stuff. So it's kind of a lot more personal than for me before. When I first started on these marketplaces, I didn't know anybody. I just started out as a guy that wanted to put something out there, and obviously, like all of us, start making money. And it just, it grew. I was fortunate enough to grow into what I've got now. But seeing Legiit is really encouraging because, like I said, I've got personal friends on there, and I have like a personal investment to want to see people on that marketplace actually do well.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of the approach we've taken to grow. Yeah, is because I don't have $500 million in investor capital like the 800-pound gorilla in this industry did. So yes. I've had to rely on personal connections, community, and things like that to grow it. And honestly, I think that's led to a better experience for people. We have our people that have not been happy, but for the most part, I think everyone's been satisfied, and we got a lot of fun, so.
Yeah, definitely. But, I mean, from my perspective as well, is obviously you're the CEO and you kind of are inside, so it's sometimes probably quite difficult for you to sort of see what it is from a user's perspective or something like that. Mm-hmm. So, as I obviously, some of the things I'm going to say here is like repetition because we talk to each other privately, but for anybody watching, from like I was saying to you the other day, is I think what I can see with Legiit and with the Facebook group is there's like a culture building where people are genuinely taking interest in other members of the group rather than just a big marketplace with everybody competing between each other. People are actually starting to sort of help each other. And it's kind of, it sounds cheesy, like we should all help each other, but it's true. Like if somebody says, hey, this works, like Russell shared something in the group the other day.
When we're on these live streams, we have to say his full name. Russell Freddie Edmonds.
Oh, sorry. Yes. So Russell Freddie Edmonds, who should be watching right now if he has woken up in time.
Yeah, he's here.
Is he? Hey, Russ. Russell Freddie Edmonds in the group, he shared in my group, he shared a simple but effective thing that people can use in their listings, which is placing a PS in your listings. And although it sounds very obvious to people, I don't see a lot of people doing this, and it kind of goes back to the copywriting thing where people will skim things and they'll scan and they'll see what they're, and they'll decide very quickly whether your service is worth investigating further and actually reading through. But with a PS, you can basically in a very short sentence, you can say this is this, this is that, and that can actually help people decide to sort of read further and stuff. So anyway, just a very small example of about how like little things like that can be shared between members, and eventually people have like quality listings and better services, and then of course more people buy and more people are happy and that sort of stuff. So
yeah, that's a brilliant tip. It can help a lot of people. I have something similar like that. It's kind of I think it's called like by the way marketing, where you're just kind of mentioning something.
Yeah, there's it's funny. I went to that. I went to the event in Phuket in February last month, which I think you know about, called Project Persuasion with Mitch Miller and stuff. Like really great event. Mark Joyner was there. Mark Joyner is the guy who basically invented the tracking pixel way before like Google tracking pixels and all this. Anyway, he's a long-term sort of OG marketer and stuff. Really interesting guy. And he said he called it the Columbo close, where like you remember the old series where Columbo, he would like act like he didn't know anything, and then just before he was like leaving the room, he would say, "Oh, but just one more thing," and he would turn around, and then that's always the one thing that sort of like gets that person to start revealing themselves and stuff. So yeah, so the Columbo close is kind of a similar thing. The PS, it's just that like last little mention. And that's pretty cool.
If you guys have any questions for Barry, go ahead and drop them in the chat. This is spread all over the place, so I'll try not to miss any, but if I do, we'll get to them. But while we're waiting on that, I said in the beginning that we do things kind of differently, and the main difference I see is you're really good at like sales copy and converting people that are on the site, and I kind of focus more on bringing people into and out from outside. Do you want to talk about that, like how you did it, like the sales copy, and how I remember you telling me a story about you being in a bar. I won't steal your story, but
yeah, definitely. No, it's really interesting that you brought that up. So just to sort of put it into perspective, when I won't sort of name drop any other marketplaces, but they're very easy to find. Okay, so I started in, for anybody that doesn't know, I started in SEO Clerks, and I'm still there now, or SEO Clerk, so I'm still there now. But when I first started, like many people, I didn't have a marketing budget. I didn't have it was just me, my brain, and hopefully as much knowledge as I could sort of gather to bring in sales and stuff. So in my mind, I was thinking, right, traffic, that's going to cost me money. I don't have money because I just, the short of my story is, I won't sort of go into the whole story because it'll probably take the whole of this live stream. But in 2010, I was working in central Thailand as a manager for a new language school, actually. And I'd been working online here and there, doing a few jobs like content things and stuff like that for a while. And it was only until my boss was actually shot and died, sniped in the middle of the day. And obviously, I went into the office in the morning. The girl in the office told me that the boss had been shot the day before, and that basically threw everything up in the air. And then I was kind of like, right, I'm kind of screwed here, because we're talking about I'm not going to get paid. And, I know that's more of a selfish thing, but the guy's dead. I had nobody around me to kind of help me out of this situation. So I needed something to actually get going. I couldn't afford traffic anyway. So I'll speed up the story. So basically, I had no way of investing anything at that time into traffic. So I had to think of a way that I could get people to actually convert that did land on my stuff. So then I started taking an interest in copywriting, because I thought, well, okay, if I can start being more persuasive with the few people that do land on my pages organically, then that in turn is going to start making me more money without me actually needing to invest anything on the front end, So then as I started becoming like more interested in copy and better at copy, then I started testing things on the pages, and you know, some things worked, some things didn't. Some sales pages completely like flopped, and some have been fantastic. Like the one of my sales pages that I sort of taught. I did like a blueprint thing in my group for free, and that sales page has done $465,000 just through me sitting there like working out, right, what do people want, like what should I put here, blah 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 blah. And then there's another page that's done like $230,000, and there's multiple pages with like 40s and 50s and 10s and stuff like that. And that's just on SEO clerks, and not including some of the side stuff that I have as well. So my focus has been on copywriting out of the necessity of needing to convert people without investing upfront money. And that's largely part of my message in the Facebook group that I'm running now, is that a lot of people have said to me like, oh, it's fine. And they assume that some people, I'm not saying everybody, but some people assume that I just have lots of money and that I can just throw money at stuff and it's fine. And they'll make excuses as to like why it's easier for me and it isn't for them. And what I'm trying to say is that it really can be easy, but I'm seeing people are putting listings up on these freelancing places and they're not putting any effort into the copy or the persuasion. And it's literally the cheapest, or perhaps free, however you look at it, way that you can convert people over and start making more money without actually spending money on the front end. And that's what I'm trying to basically get through to people, you know. And I think, so going back to what you were saying, Chris, about you're more about bringing people in the front end, that is not my specialty at all, because, you know, once I got into the copy, then I just started concentrating on the copy because that was what was working for me. So then over the years, I've just developed what's good for me. And then, like you said, you probably had the same thing. Like you started seeing success bringing people in, and you're like, right, I'm quite good at this. And then you just got better and better and better. And then I suppose between us now, I can learn things from you about bringing in people like that, bringing in like traffic, like actual humans. And then maybe I can help like you and other people in the group about how to actually convert those humans with the right message and all that kind of stuff. So
I've absolutely learned some stuff from you. Like my ranking rocket service is my most profitable service ever. And I started that after a conversation with you for two reasons. One, we talked about packages, and we can talk about that in a minute. So all I did was just bundle a few things that I was already selling into one. And then instead of like making a standard sales page, I wrote like a whole story. And, I mean, everything in it is true. I don't want it to come off like manipulating buying, but I wrote like this whole long story about being stuck on page 2. It paid off. Like I did it on a whim just for the heck of it. And that was something I absolutely got after a conversation with you.
That's awesome. I love it. I mean, it would be great if everybody that comes into the Legiit group or to my group or any of these kind of freelancing spaces, for them to get this information straight away. Like if they had a list of things like this sells better, blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, it seems to be like, you know, some people come in at different times and blah, blah, blah. So we kind of have to go over these things again. But I guess what I'm getting to is like, I think I remember having that conversation with you. And for me, it was like perceived value. Like you can sell 3 different things at say $20 each and they might sell. But if you put 3 things together, you'll sell those 3 things for maybe $100 because it's easier to put a higher perceived value on something that has multiple assets to it, you know?
Yeah, Russell Brunson calls that stacking.
There we go. So he's got all the technical terms and stuff. I just go,
but
perhaps I should start making stuff up as well. But it's true. I mean, and going to what you were saying about you don't want to be, sorry, like stories, you don't want to be like misleading or anything like that. I don't consider it misleading at all. I just think that when most of these people land on our services, well, in fact, when everybody lands on our services, we don't have the opportunity to speak to them face to face. So whereas me and you can talk to each other and I say like, oh, I've got this thing I can do for you, and we can casually just sort of bounce back and forward, and I can say, and we can sort of ramble on a little bit and work things out. With a page, you don't have that opportunity. With like the written word, you've got to be like pretty much straight in there and concise. So like adding a story in there of any sort of story, it doesn't have to, it can be any story really that relates back to why you're doing services, how you started online, why you want to do this as a job, like maybe why you don't want to work a 9 to 5 or anything really. I think that is, it's not being dishonest in a way that you're doing it to make people buy from you. It's just a more concise way of you getting your message across in a way that they can remember. So if you don't put a story in things, it becomes boring and bland, and then people bounce off. And also, I think if you truly believe that your service is really, really good, then you are doing people a disservice by not actually convincing them as much as you can by telling them to buy. If you don't truly believe what you're doing is like good for people and it's going to help them and stuff, then maybe you will hesitate, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that, blah, blah, blah. But I'm in the mindset now that if I truly, truly believe what I'm doing is the best I can do for that person, then of course I'm going to say everything that I can to convince them to buy.
Yeah, I've said that before too, that when you have a good product or service, it is not only should you do it, you have a moral obligation to get that out to the people that need it. Like, you are doing a disservice to them by not selling it to them. And that sounds like hype book bullshit, but
no, there's wisdom in those books, man. I completely agree, but I think it's worth talking about because a lot of people, from what I've seen, like in my group now, where I'm actually speaking to people one-on-one, they start services because obviously people want to make money, right? So, that's normal. We all need money and stuff, but so they'll start services without really thinking about the, without really thinking about the end user first. They'll just be thinking about, right, what can I do to make the most amount of money? But if you really think about the problem that somebody has and then develop a service backwards based on that problem, you can develop a really, really good service that you can then be really confident enough to basically get out there and promote it, like, loud and proud, like head above the water and stuff. So I think it's really important to start there, like start with a genuine problem that somebody might have. So it could be, did somebody just send you an interesting comment?
Sorry, I was looking at my phone actually.
All right. Yeah. So, so what I was saying is, so if people work their way backwards from, they start with a real problem that somebody might have online. So for example, a very common problem is that, like, for example, I'm not on page 1. Everybody wants to be on page 1 with their website for whatever keyword they're going for obvious reasons. So the problem is that they're on page 2 or page 3 or something like that. So it's a really easy example, but if you start off with the problem and then work your way back, then you know that you can basically get out there and start pushing your services. But if you start from yourself, if that makes sense, like, I'm hoping this is making sense because it's still the morning and I'm still drinking coffee here, but I'm trying to collect my thoughts. So for example, people will say, and I think you've seen this, Chris, people will say, I know how to do graphic design. I'll do graphic design services. Or I know how to build social signal links. I'll do social signal links and stuff like that. And it always starts with them and about what they can do. And then they put it out in the market and basically hope that people will buy or hope that it's something that people will pay for. but they're not really thinking about it in the right way, in my opinion. Like, it's not, they're thinking about themselves first, like, oh, what can I do that's comfortable for me, that makes me, I'm skilled in this, therefore I will offer this. But if you think of the problem first and work your way back, maybe you can weave graphic design into an issue that people genuinely have in online, or maybe you can weave like your link building skills and stuff into an actual problem. So so if you see where I'm getting with it, people will start off going like, oh, I don't know how to do anything right, I know how to do this, I'll just put that out there. But they're not thinking about what it's actually solving at the end. So if everybody flipped it around and started with a problem and then worked their way back, and along working their way back, tried to find something that you know how to do and then integrate that, into the service, then you can actually start selling. In my opinion, you can start selling, being successful in these freelancing marketplaces and stuff,
Yeah. A couple things on that. One of the big marketplaces literally forces you to have your title say, I will do blank.
Oh yeah.
So
that's
I think
true.
That comes from. And like, I can always tell when someone has come from there, because they're
really
I will give you blank, or I will do blank, so on.
Yeah. That's, I mean, obviously we all know, I think everybody watching this will already know what that marketplace is, but I won't swear on a live. But it's, you're right. A lot of these places do force people to, start off. So, they force people into communicating in the way that the marketplace wants them to. So it's, like my interest in copy and how it's helped me and stuff. Some of the advice that I give in my group, it can't be applied 100% into these marketplaces, because they all have different. Yeah, it would be great to have full freedom, but I think at the same time, maybe you'll agree with this, is that I think you said this the other day, if you don't give people's, really strict instructions, it can get very messy.
Specific, so, I think, the word I used.
What's that?
Specific was the word I used.
Oh, specific. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to put words in your mouth.
but
yeah,
we're talking about Fiverr. Fiverr goes far too far the other way. Like, they literally only give you like a few hundred characters and like 2 formatting options. So
see, that's pretty.
They literally force your title to be I will whatever.
Yeah, see, that's pretty bad. But I guess they've invested so much money and stuff into their marketplace and stuff, and I don't pretend to be more successful than Fiverr and stuff. I guess them as a company, because they are a company, they're not really a community. They're not even Fiverr anymore. They're like tenner and 40 and 150, and it's just a bit of a weird.
The last time I was there, something that was $5 cost $7.
Oh Jesus. Yeah. Oh yeah, and they do all these like processing fees and stuff, which is a confusing thing for me, because processing, anyway.
The other thing you said was like working in reverse, and it kind of made me think of one thing that I teach in the freelancing course, is to think of things that you don't like to do, because if you don't like to do them, then somebody else doesn't like to do them.
Yeah,
that means they're willing to pay to have it done. So it may suck to do something that you don't like to do, but it's an opportunity. So
I think that's really good advice. I was thinking about this the other day, I think after another conversation with you, and finding out about what the best selling types of services were on these marketplaces. And if I go way back to before I fully committed to working online and making it work and all that sort of stuff, I used to write content, and like really, really cheap. I'm talking like 2007 or something. It might have been 2008 or something. It's all a bit of a blur then, before I actually committed to my online thing. But I did loads of different things. Some stuff in forums and that. But anyway, one of the main ways that I, oh bless you. So one of the main ways that I started to like kind of bring in a decent amount of money was to write content. but I hated it. It was miserable. I mean, I remember it was me and my friend actually started this, and it was in the Warrior forum like years ago, and we put out this ad or whatever you want to call it, in the marketplace on Warrior forum,
Right.
and it was God, oh man, it was so cheap. I don't know how I did it, but so anyway, me and a friend would basically take on this content, and we did a good job, but some guys, one guy sent like 50 500 word articles on baby changing tables, right? Oh man, it was just, and they have to all be unique, and we never did any sneaky stuff like spinning or or copying, and everything was legit. Legiit.com, so everything was legit. Everything was obviously run through Copyscape and all that sort of stuff from their end, and and we built up it was quite a decent business, but it was really, really tough. Like, imagine having, okay, so that's the baby changing tables. Another example, imagine being given, I think it might have even been more, but imagine being given 50 articles on locksmiths in the UK, and the only difference between each article was locksmiths it was towns, so it would be like locksmiths in Norwich, article 2, locksmiths in Edinburgh, article 3, locksmith in Tunbridge Wells, article 4. Oh man, and it was just like after the 16th article, so like 7,000 plus words in, you're like, oh man, and this guy wants me to do another 40 odd articles or 36 articles or whatever, and they've all got to be completely unique from even the first one that you wrote all that time ago.
You end up duplicating yourself and not even realize it, probably.
Yeah, because you can't remember. So anyway, my point is just back to what you were saying, is what do people not like doing? And they don't like writing content, and that is why content can actually be a really, really smart thing to get into, because, okay, it might be miserable, it might get repetitive, but it doesn't mean that that's what you're going to be doing forever. Mm-hmm. And that's what kept me going. For me, I saw content as a way for me to get my foot in the door, to start earning, to basically stop me from going outside and getting a 9-to-5 while I was building up my online knowledge and getting connections and stuff like that. So, because I was earning money sitting in front of the computer, it also allowed me during my breaks and whatever, and little like distractions to find out about this, talk about that. But if I was in a 9-to-5 earning maybe a little bit more money or something, or maybe the same amount of money, I'm completely taken away from the world of online marketing, and that can put me back even further. And I see people doing that all the time, like people working their jobs and then also working online, and then simple things that I think is widely known in the marketing world, these guys that I know personally don't even know about it, because they've spent all day, 8 hours a day, every single day, not including their commuting time, away from marketing and away from online guys. So they just, they fall behind so quickly.
That easily could have been me. And to some extent it was, but I just chose not to be good at my job and spent as much time as I could get away with.
Yeah.
Doing, what I wanted to do. Fortunately, I had like a computer job, so I just a tab open and the boss comes around and
well, that's it.
And then once I started making some money online, I stopped even being subtle about it. I answer the call when I was doing tech support. I was like, I'll answer the call when it comes in, but I'm not doing else.
That's funny. Yeah.
So we got a couple of questions. It says, how to sound less cheesy than just saying increase sales, get potentially more customers, get higher rankings. He says it feels very repetitive when he writes his copy. It's like every service of his, I try to write copy that sounds the exact same. So I guess he's asking, how can you change it up? Like, what are some different phrases and things you can use? And he sells mostly SEO services. So.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Kirill. Kirill's part of my group as well, actually. I did look over his services. Actually, I'm due to do an audit on your stuff, actually, Kirill. So get ready for that. But to try and answer your question in obviously my own opinion, how to sound less, I'm just reading it now. how to sound less cheesy than saying increase the sales, get potentially more customers. The problem I see here is that you've got multiple messages in one sentence. So I don't know whether you mean like how to replace, like, I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this, Kirill, straight away, but I'm just going to assume that you mean you're saying all of these things in one particular service. Like you're saying increase the sales, and then you're also saying get potentially more customers, and then get higher rankings. That's three different things. So increase in sales, so you're assuming that somebody is making sales already. All right. So that's not somebody that's brand new that's looking to sort of get, start becoming successful. And then the second message says get potentially more customers. That's weak because you're saying potentially more customers, but people aren't bothered about the customers. They want the result that the customers give them, i.e. more money, which gives them, the rent for their house or a nicer car or whatever. And get higher rankings. The higher rankings is just a precursor to the results that they actually want again in their life. So I think less cheesy. I don't think they sound cheesy. I just don't think that they're deep enough topics to really sort of communicate with the customer. So maybe it's cheesy is because we see these things said all the time. We see people saying, oh, increase in sales, increase, more customers, higher rankings. Like, people don't actually care if they're on page 400 of Google. If there's a million people on page 400 that give them money, then they want to be there. So they don't really care about higher rankings. They want to know what it's going to actually do for them in their life. Like, when they wake up in the morning, how is their life different? Like, they've bought your service, and they wake up the next morning, it's taken you less than 24 hours, and suddenly you've got 100 more people added to your Facebook group that are actually interacting with you, or you've got a new cool logo that is going to help your brand, or that can so they actually want to know what result they get on a personal level. I mean, the branding logo is probably not a good example because that is still something that leads to something else, but hopefully what I'm saying is that these things that are listed here, increase sales, get more customers, and higher rankings, are actually just precursors to what they actually want, which could be the money, the car, the new motorbike, the money to take the wife or the girlfriend out or something like that. So I'd say dig deeper, and then you won't sound so repetitive and you won't look like everybody else.
Just to add to that, you need to remember that you are not your target audience. Like, just because we're numb to, get more sales, make more, how to make $100 as a 16-year-old who's broken we hear all that stuff all the time. So to us, it's like, oh my God, this again. But you're not selling to you, although you may be on a marketplace to some extent, but try to not think about it from your perspective, because you are not your customer.
Yeah.
This is why I think building communities is important. Then you get to know what people need and you can offer it to them,
Yeah.
How to speak their language and stuff like that. So I think that's good to add to that.
Yeah. I just to add to that, I think that's really solid advice. Actually, it's really it's a really easy trap to fall into, to think that everybody thinks like we do. But I have my lens and my way of looking at the world and things that I agree on. And then there's other guys, like, we all have different ways of looking at things. Mm-hmm. And an example of that would be the word I think about this is the word freelancer. I know a lot of people that are, like, as you know, Chris, like people that are, perceived as high up in the SEO industry and have like huge followings and make huge amounts of money. There's guys in marketing and stuff, and there's all these different type of people that I know. But I have the word freelancer seems to force people kind of that are maybe just starting or aren't at the level that they would like to be. The word freelancer sometimes triggers the thought of lots of work and maybe quite the opposite of what these other guys are doing right now. Because so that's a perception, that some people have of freelancing, because, it communicates work and maybe like me doing all those articles and stuff. Whereas other people like myself view freelancing as a way to get my foot in the door and to move upwards and then eventually get to the point I want to get to, maybe financially or like with freedom and all that kind of stuff. So so basically just to sort of compound your point or whatever is just try to sort of take yourself out of your own head, if that makes sense. And like you just said, like in these groups, my group has taught me a lot actually about what people are thinking. Like I'm thinking to myself for a long, long time, because of my personal experience, I've just considered freelancing as the best way to start online and to start making money and then to move up. And it really is. And I know like multi-millionaires that started out as little freelancers. There we go. So there you go. It's true though. I mean, it's true. I know, like there's you and there's tons of other people that I know that started off with just a little freelancing gig. Yeah, there you go. And Becca, right? And Alex Becker as well. I remember way back in the day in the Warrior Forum when Becker was in there sort of like, his sense of humor, he would troll someone a little bit and blah, blah. And I thought he was quite a funny guy, but he was just another guy in the Warrior Forum and stuff. And seeing him going from that to what he is now is impressive, man. Like that. So people need to learn from these guys. I really admire what Becker has managed to do. I took his advice in the early days. For example, actually, I do have something to thank him for personally, was when he recommended that anybody getting into this game should start reading Dan Kennedy books. And I was like, Dan Kennedy, who is that? So I bought a Dan Kennedy book, and then I was like, holy shit, this is copywriting. Dan Kennedy is like his tagline is the highest paid copywriter in the world. And that just got me like hooked and whatever. And from there, that led me to get even more into copy and blah, blah, blah. And that's what's made me like a lot of money now. The point is people will see maybe freelancing this way as like, a guy that works really hard. I see freelancing as a way to get in, to start making money online, to start moving up the ranks, and then eventually, if you want, become as successful as you really wish as you desire.
Yeah.
And
where people that, especially, and I want this to sound like I'm talking about all of them, but there are certain people that own like agencies that really down on people that call themselves freelancers. Yeah, I literally had some of them get snotty with me and like judge with me. I honestly, for quite a long time, I felt a little bit insecure about being around guys that had like big agencies and stuff like that, because of that perception that a lot of people have. But honestly, I've got over that now, and I honestly don't need any validation from people with agencies and stuff like that. Like I don't care if somebody's got 100 people in their agency working for them and they make all these numbers and stuff like that. The flip side of it is, if I was that type of person and I started saying, well, agency work is crap and this and that and blah, 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 my argument could be is you're stuck to an office all the time and you have to go through all of these official things like logging all these taxes and these returns and your employees and da. Whereas me, as a, whatever you want to call it, a freelancer, an entrepreneur, a marketer, without sounding like I'm boasting, I'm really not, but the truth is I have a lot of freedom. Like I can sit here on this desk if I want, or I can get in my car and drive 500 miles and go and have a holiday for the next 2 weeks and just take my laptop with me. And I will still earn really good money. I will still have my team doing stuff for me. And they just send me, I've got a support girl who's really good. And she just sends me messages on Facebook now if there's a problem. And if not, it's fine. And sometimes I'll log in and I'll see my stuff and okay, and that's good. And, and I'll just carry on living my life. So the
the idea of having an actual agency for me personally does not fit in with my lifestyle. Like I won't build my lifestyle around a business at all. I'll have my lifestyle. I'll understand what I want to do, how I need to be free, and then I'll build a business to cater around that, if you know what I mean. So that's why agency work stuff and just doesn't appeal to me. It's great, and I'm not knocking anybody that has an agency, because I know some people that have agencies that are like awesome people, like and it's really good for them, and they do really well, and they have offices around the world and stuff, and I definitely admire some of the things that they do. But for me personally, this freelancing thing, however you want to call it, entrepreneurship or whatever, suits me and my lifestyle, and the fact that I live in Thailand and I also need the freedom to travel in and out, to go to the UK and stuff, to see family and that and stuff. So yeah. So that's my point really, is the agency freelancer thing. It's you know, it's not always the grass is greener. There's bad on both sides, but for me, freelancing is freedom. You know, that's what I need first. So
take a couple more questions. Alan says, what percentage of Legiit users are end users as opposed to agencies or middlemen? I don't really know. Judging by my personal sales on there, there's a lot of business owners, which was surprising to me at first, but like a lot of small business owners who don't want to pay monthly retainers, but want to get some SEO work done. We get a lot of people like that. Of course, we've got a lot of other SEOs who are just trying to get some of the work done for them. And there's some agencies too. So I don't have like a hard number, but if I had to guess, I would say that small business owners was the biggest population, that and freelancers themselves, of course. So.
Yeah, that's a good question actually, because I have a mix of people like that buy from me. What will happen is the best, sort of going off track a little bit, but they're just like two different types of people. Usually they are business owners, or they're like freelancers getting started in their bedroom or something like that with their one website and stuff. The easiest people to work with are usually the people that already have money. So not in a snobby way, or not looking down on anybody at all. But for anybody that's wondering what type of person to go for, if you want to have less headaches, it might be better to go for people that have businesses already, you know, because they will understand that problems do happen sometimes, and they won't
spend $100 with you. They're not risking.
Yeah,
you know.
Exactly. So that's a good point. But and also what Alan asked there about the Legiit. I'm just reading it now. So what percentage of Legiit users are end users as opposed to agency and middlemen? Yeah, it's also important to, as a seller, to think about what type of person you're targeting, because you're going to communicate with an agency different to how you would communicate with somebody that's like sitting in their bedroom. You know, slightly. We're all still
control over that on marketplaces, but
yeah, you can't tell.
You can kind of get to know, and then
yeah, I don't think you can tell up front, but I think there's no reason why you can't have the same service pitched differently, if you know what I mean. So, like for example, one might be a link building service focused on high quality links for, you know, that are very white hat or something, that are appealing to an agency. And then you could have on your same profile another type of service, which is more of a sort of high volume, maybe even not lower quality, but you know what I mean. You've got white hat link building service here for your agencies, and then you've got something that's more catered towards affiliates and stuff on this side. And the way that you communicate here and here is completely different, but you can have two, and then on the same marketplace, and then like the agencies can come to this service and the other guys can come to this service, you know. And I kind of have a similar thing as well, where some of my services will be attractive for one type of person, and the other service will be attracted to that type of person. So there's no reason not to create two services targeting two different clientele. You know?
That's how if you see a funnel that has a survey, a lot of times the product is the exact same, and it's just taking you through the survey to make you feel like it qualified you
Yeah.
That's bordering on dishonesty, but that's how those work. So anyway, Alan says, as in any business, you have to know who your clientele is and cater toward their needs. The easiest way to find out how your customer thinks is do a focus group with a random group of people for online a survey/questionnaires method. Yeah, I actually did one of those on myself about a year. It's been about a year ago now. And I learned a lot of information on what people perceived of me and what they wanted and what they didn't want and all kinds of stuff like that. And man, that's a terrifying experience. Send that out to, 50,000 people or whatever it was at the time. But yeah, but I mean, 99% of it was positive, but there are a couple of things I immediately implemented and they made a big difference. So,
okay, that's interesting actually. Yeah, because I suppose
less terrifying experience to put yourself out there.
Maybe I might do that at some point, but probably not ready for that yet.
I actually got that idea from someone, I won't name names, but someone that we've talked about before that you are not a fan of. She actually gave me the idea for that.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. The person that always copies and claims that it's her own work, that person.
Yeah. So moving along. We gave, this is from Tim. He says we gave a restoration company 3 free leads. He made over $14,000 in water damage mitigation. And now he's on full time with us for leads and SEO. Giving something free is a damn good way to earn trust without having to give a sales pitch. For what you guys were saying a few minutes ago about we'll get you more leads, more sales, higher rankings. Yeah, I'm not 100% on the give something for free, but if it's leads, I think that's a good foot in the door. And I have done free like rankings and press releases and stuff before. So definitely free is a good lead magnet a lot of the time.
Yeah, Tim definitely has a point. I mean, I agree with that, but I don't think it goes against what we were saying really. Like in the context of what Kirill was saying about how to not sound cheesy and stuff, I think the reason why he used the word cheesy is because it sounds repetitive. In terms of the actual wording he was using. But in terms of what you've said here, Tim, it's not the wording here. Like I definitely agree. Like offering something for free like that, like leads and blah, 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 can be a really effective way to obviously gain their trust and show that you know what you're doing. And then they will reciprocate with maybe payment or maybe business referrals or something like that. So I think on both sides, Kirill was talking about the context of how to word something without sounding repetitive and cheesy. And Tim is saying that actually this offering free things like leads and stuff does work. And that's sometimes what people actually do want. Yeah. But however you word it is really up to you. You don't have to say leads, obviously. I mean, Tim would know this anyway, because obviously Tim does this in his business. But sometimes leads aren't called leads. They can be titled names. You know?
I don't know that he'd be how comfortable Tim's going to be with this analogy, but he basically described what drug dealers do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, but it's true. They give you free and they get you addicted, and then you take it away, or else they give you money. That's the same thing.
That's it. I mean, if you've read the book Influence by Robert, what's his name, Cialdini, the first chapter is Influence or Persuasion. There's I think it's the Influence book, not the Pre-Persuasion book. I'll have to confirm that later. But the first chapter, anyway, is about reciprocation. So, which is a powerful thing. So if you give somebody, it can be used in a very manipulative way, and that's how psychopaths and stuff basically get what they want, is that they will force things on people that they don't really want, that's not in their best nature, because they understand that the human condition, we feel very uncomfortable if somebody does something for us and we don't somehow find a way to pay them back, even if it's not like money. So sometimes you'll get people they will manipulate people by giving them free stuff because they know that that person is going to feel very uncomfortable. And especially if they pile on the shame and some guilt and stuff like that. Yeah. But do you remember that? We've probably all had those friends in the past, do you remember that time I did that for you, man? Like blah, blah, blah. And you want to go well, I didn't.
This thing just thought of somebody specific.
Yeah, exactly. So it all rolls back to basically understanding psychology, really. Like if you give somebody free leads, So obviously this was done in an honest, non-manipulative. It doesn't have bad intentions. This thing is in this person's interest. Like this guy made $14,000 through these free leads and stuff. You can use that with service listings and stuff as well. And even the stuff that I do in my group, I do a lot. In fact, everything I've done in my group to this day has been completely free, and I'm not doing it in a way to basically do free stuff. So then one day they're all going to feel guilty and they're all going to start doing things for me. It just feels like it feels good for me in a selfish way. It feels good for me to actually give to somebody else. And what I've noticed is the things that I've started to do for people, they feel really like indebted to me in a positive way. And they find ways to like, oh, I thought you'd, I thought that you would like this, like that I found on a link here, or I want to send you my product, or like something like that. So like it really is a positive thing. So by offering free things in a non-manipulative, well-intentioned way, everybody wins in a cheesy sounding way,
Yep.
And that can be integrated into services. If you do free stuff on the front end, you can really gain trust and then make more money or make something back in the end. But it works. It's just a human condition that we have,
Russell Freddie Edmonds says, morning.
Oh, no.
What's the most important skill you've learned that's not about SEO? I'll let Barry go first, and then I think I know what his answer will be, so I'll give something different. So go ahead.
Shall I go ahead? Okay. Okay. You know what I'm going to say. So the most important skill, I'm just reading the question here so I get it right. So the most important skill I've learned which is not about SEO. So for anybody watching this that doesn't already know, I've made all my freelancing money in SEO. And most people would assume that I've spent all of my time learning about SEO. But as much as I am competent in SEO, and I've taught other people on my team how to do what I do and basically replace myself, the most important skill that I've learned is copywriting. So learning how to persuade people that land on my page to actually tip them over the fence and have them basically investing in me, and obviously increasing sales. So for anybody watching this that has a listing on Legiit.com or any other marketplace, or even your own landing page or Facebook group or anything, my opinion is that if you are spending all of your time learning the technical skills of your business, which, by the way, you have to obviously be very competent at that anyway. But if you're spending 100% of your time learning that, and you're not spending time on learning the humans that sit behind the computer, then you're probably going to be unsuccessful anyway, no matter how good you are at SEO or whatever it is you choose. So the most important skill that I've learned, definitely, which has made me a lot of money, is copywriting and persuasion. And it's surprisingly not that hard once you start testing out different words and different ways to place things and stuff like that. So, yep, that's my answer.
I would have said too, but just so we give different answers.
That's cool.
Thing that I would say for me, I don't really want to call it networking, but community building has been the big thing for me. Learning how to bring people into a place where we can all help each other and be perfectly blunt, to make some money from it. But learning how to build an audience, building an audience is what has been most valuable to me. And it almost happened by accident. I created my group just to own the brand name. Yeah. And I wasn't doing anything with it. And then I just decided, I'll start driving people from my current sales to it. And just one little line at the end of a PS at the end of my sales, and it started driving people into the group. Wow. And then I just started making videos and posts and stuff, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So that's what worked really well for me. So that's probably the most important thing in my business, has been doing that. And because of that, I get people like they want to sign me for monthly retainers. They want, I get constant questions, and forgive me for everybody who I haven't gotten back to yet, but I showed you a screenshot of my messages the other day.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah. Actually, So yeah, sorry, I don't know if I interrupted you then. I think there was a stutter on the internet. So yeah, actually, what to kind of add to that, what you were just saying is that I was referring to, and I still stick by what I said, like persuasion and stuff has been the one skill that I've personally learned that is that's been really important and had a massive impact on me. But as of late, when I've started to grow this Facebook group out and I've actually taken an intentional interest in the individuals, like I speak to them on Messenger, I sometimes send them a little audio message saying, hey man, like this, it really is starting to open my eyes to how much opportunity there actually is out there in terms of networking. Like just yesterday, a guy joined my group, and what I do is when they apply, I'll just, like as most people do, I'll nip over to their profile to see if they're fake or something like that, or who they are. This guy was from what was it? I can't. Anyway, his name was, what was his name? His name was Hans. Anyway, and on his profile it said email marketer who will increase your business by 20%. Sorry.
He's a Sam Ovens guy. They get that from him. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, well there we go. So I thought, oh, that's cool, because I'm quite interested in email marketing as well, because that's another thing that I'll talk about maybe in another live or something. But email marketing has been a really powerful part of what I do as well. So I'm interested in that. So to get to the point, the networking thing, I messaged him and said like, oh, hey man, I saw you do like email marketing and stuff, like thanks for joining the group and And he messaged me back, and it turns out he's actually living about 200 kilometers from me here in Thailand, in another random province in the middle of Thailand. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So basically we're going to get on a call next week and talk about his email marketing services, and perhaps come up with something there as well to maybe help people in my group, or maybe help his business and stuff like that. So that's just one example. There's a guy called James, James, you might be on this. Hey, James. I've been helping him with his sales page, and like for free and stuff. And it's been a really cool experience, and he's getting like really good value out of it. And we're both like getting pretty excited about seeing it develop and stuff. So obviously James is a guy that will, if in the future somewhere someone says, oh, do you know a guy that can do copywriting for fitness products? And then he'll be like, well, I sell loads of fitness products, and this guy here did mine. His name's Barry, and he's in Thailand and stuff. And so there's all this. I'm really, really seeing the value, especially recently, in networking with people on a personal level, rather than just trying to build up a Facebook group and go like, or like build up this tension, as you see in other Facebook groups. Like, we've got this new link building service coming out. It's going to be amazing, with no real interest.
Another email list.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I don't, I'm totally over that mindset of just trying to bring in loads of people for the sake of having tons of numbers that I can throw things at and hope that maybe 5% of them will buy. You know, if I offer things, my first intention will be like, what one person is actually going to benefit, like sincerely benefit from this thing that I'm offering them, and how can I basically build this service? And then I will treat people as like, okay, I know that David can benefit from this, and he's in my group. I know that Eric can benefit from this. I know, right. Rather than just like, 5% of my list I've bought, I am a successful marketer. You know, it's just...
It's not just an equation, it's people.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what's been missing out of all of these groups and stuff, and out of a lot of this community, because everybody gets all this message, like, and I've been doing it as well a lot, but I'm getting over it now. But like the email marketing community and stuff, like, I get a 25% open rate. Okay, great. I get 50% sometimes. So what? Like, what are their names? Like, what do they do? Where are they? What does your stuff actually help them with? Like,
yeah, like when I look at when I send an email broadcast, if I happen to look at the unsubscribed and I see it's somebody I know, it like hurts my feelings a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So, and
yeah.
The thing you said, you're talking about how beneficial the group has been to me. You, I'd just like to say, I told you so.
Yeah, I know. You were right all along. I mean, yeah, you were. I mean, do you remember before when I had this, I've had these ideas in my notebook. For anybody else watching this, I'll just show you. This is what's called a paper notebook, and I use a pen to write my notes. So basically, I've got these stacks of notes, like probably about 5 of these full of notes, and there's all these different ideas in there. And one of them was to build a Facebook community, and I've had that sitting in there for a long time. And then last time me and you, Chris, were on the live, I had that Facebook and lots of people joined. But at that point, I was still uncertain of my overall message, if you know what I mean. So it kind of fizzled out. And I just didn't want to be one of these guys that just repost stuff that I've found on other places and other blogs and stuff. Like you'll see Facebook groups where next to every post, it'll just have the little buffer icon. And to me, that just tells me that guy's just like gone, like, how to rank on Google. He searched it and he's found the top 5 articles and he's just loaded them up and gone, click, there you go, my group. I love you. Thanks. There's a course coming out next week. Like that. And I didn't want to be that guy. So I just let that group kind of simmer there, which is the group now. And it's only until recently that obviously after speaking to you and then kind of trying to clarify what I'm really trying to get at with this group that I've fired it up again, and now it's actually becoming quite a successful a good community and stuff. So yeah, you were right all along. It was just difficult for me to find that message without turning it into just a pitch fest, which is what I don't want to do.
Ahmed says bombs of value being dropped here. That's right, but not spirit bombs like that weak ass Goku. It's a running joke between us.
Yeah, I'm assuming, I think I know, is Ahmed is the guy that does all the graphics and stuff in the Legiit. Yeah, I've seen some of your stuff, Ahmed. I think it's cool, even if Chris thinks it's...
he did mine. I just, we have a running debate on who's stronger, Superman or Goku. I have, of course, am right about it being Superman, but he's on Team Goku. So.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Well, actually, Ahmed, if you're watching this still right now, I was actually going to hit you up about doing my my personal Facebook banner at the top, because mine literally at the moment is just me sitting right here, and it was just like on my iPhone and me sitting back with a little Bluetooth remote taking a photo and doing a sort of funny face, and then I just, with my terrible graphic design skills, I just used an app and put a little transparent thing in, and that was it. And I thought it was just a that'll do for now kind of attitude, but I would actually like somebody to do something that I can feel proud about, because sometimes I meet serious people either online or in real life, people that actually
come back, right?
yeah, exactly. And they'll be like, oh, hey bro, like what do you do, or however they want to talk, like what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I have a freelancing business and I help with other freelancers and stuff. And they go to my Facebook and it's just so amateurish. It just looks, and I think it makes me, the fact that it's in my mind a little bit just makes me think, right, I need to change that a little bit, because it really isn't a reflection of who I consider myself to be, if you know what I mean. Like, I think it's important. Like some people might think, it's just a little Facebook thing. It's just, you don't need, but it really is, like first impressions and stuff is really important. There's so many things I could say about this, but just to very quickly sort of add on to what Ahmed does, which is awesome work. I've seen it. When I was in Phuket, some of you guys might know Mike Young, who's known as the Makeover Master. I was sitting there having breakfast and coffee with him and Paul Helm, who's the MMA marketer and stuff. That's a friend of mine as well. And basically, I've learned a lot from Mike already through some of his free like mini courses and stuff like that. And he really says it very well. Like first impressions is a real thing. Like you sometimes can have a chance of making a second impression, but why would you want to make your life even harder by not making a good impression on the front end? Through a simple thing like having a professionally laid out graphic that presents you as a person on Facebook. and what you do and stuff. Like your graphics, Chris, are really cool. And I guess, did Ahmed do those as well?
He did the banner, the side
Yeah.
did myself.
Yeah, that's really cool because, like, honestly, I was like the other day, I was like trying to think about how I could incorporate that sort of thing into mine and get rid of my like crappy amateurish thing. And I went over to yours and I was looking at yours and I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, just to add into what you're saying, I've spent a lot of time over the last month or two, like cleaning up my image through.
Yeah.
And I've come up. I want to be. Before I thought it was a little too amateurish. Then I got real serious with the suits and stuff. So now I've found a good happy medium, and it's consistent out all of it. And I think it's really helped build a lot of trust. I get more friend requests. Not that was a goal, because anyway. Yeah. But I think it definitely makes a difference. And if you're someone that ever might need to look for a job, that's really important, because I know I look at it for anybody I hire. So
yeah,
there's that. So.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's almost like the modern day version of a CV or a resume, as you call it in the US.
Yeah, I actually, we use both terms actually. But
oh yeah,
I got accepted into the Forbes Technology Console, and they literally ask for your LinkedIn profile when you're applying.
Really? There we go. There we go. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there is, as much as some people will probably not admit this, if you're hiring somebody in real life, face to face, to come and work in your office, the first thing that you're going to do is you might ask for their resume or their CV, but the first thing you're going to do is find them on Facebook and see what type of person they are. You know, if they're getting wasted and they're putting it out there publicly and stuff, and doing this and that, it's going to give you an idea about what type of person that is, and that can like lose you jobs, lose you respect, lose you opportunities, and cause all sorts of problems. So
it's not fair in a certain way, but it is the way.
It isn't. Yeah, it isn't fair, I don't think. But then again, by being on Facebook, or the virtue of being on there anyway means that you are putting your head above the water, and therefore, people need to understand the consequences of looking like a piece of shit on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important, and it's very quick. It's a very quick thing to sort out. I mean, if you hire Ahmed, and there's me pitching Ahmed's service, but I've seen it and it's good, and I'm going to hire him as well. Ahmed, if you're still watching this, I'll be in contact soon. It's a very quick thing to fix. You can just hire somebody like Ahmed, or just even spend your own time using Canva or something very simple and free like that to create something half professional or really professional. And you're probably going to solve a lot more problems than you realize that you probably wouldn't have had if you know what I mean. You're going to solve problems that you don't even know you'd had. Right. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. So anyway, image and professional kind of whatever, and being congruent with your image and who you are as a person, I think is important. So
Alan says Sears did those different services with the slogan good, better, and best for 3 different products. Well, there you go. Kirill was here. Kirill says, nobody ever gets that joke. This needs to be a more routine live, so much value and great advice and tips. I'm glad you're doing it.
That's good.
So,
yeah, I think I'm not I'm just going to carry on talking and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I'm like, sit to myself and think like, am I talking too much, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I'm on this live and I'm just talking and that's it. But hopefully, like Kirill said, people are actually getting value out of what we said, because sometimes I watch these lives and stuff and it just seems like 2 guys or whatever sitting there rambling. And I don't want it to come across as that. So if it does, then anybody here can kind of chip in and say, yeah, maybe you talk too much about this, and we could listen to you talking about this specifically or something. Yeah. But that's cool to hear that from Kirill. I genuinely hope it's giving people some value and sparking some ideas and stuff,
Russell Freddie Edmonds says, Barry, I thought your word art skills were on point for your banner.
Okay, which on point for my...
He's being a ass. Don't overthink it.
Oh, right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, so he's all there's Nix Lee. Morning, lovers. All right, Nix, how you doing? Just Nix, I'll call you out publicly here. I spoke to Nix briefly on private message, and I think we're going to sort out an interview soon in my group. So because I think Nix is another example of somebody that has gone from offering a small little freelancing gig to now becoming like who I would consider as being successful and somebody that's taken interest in his in his field and has become really good at it. So I think it would be interesting to interview Nix to show other people in like the Legiit group and my group that, again, starting as a freelancer can lead to some really interesting developments in your life. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think Nix has now like moved into a proper office and stuff, and has got like tons of like serious clients and stuff for his press release services and stuff, which is Spine PR, which anybody else watching this. So that's Nix, another good example of somebody that starts off with a little freelancing gig and has a bit of a vision, and is now actually realizing that vision and will possibly be really big in the future. I think you will. So good work, Nix. That's really cool. Hopefully I'll get you on the interview soon.
Will Hatfield says, do you still think there is a lot of value in PBNs, or do you think the engines have pretty much caught on? There's still value. You can't just blast away like you did in 2014. But strategically used, they're still extremely powerful. And I think they always will be, because links are always going to be a factor, and it may get harder, but I think they're always going to be useful. So yes.
Yeah. I just want to add something to that as well.
Sure.
Like, this question comes up a lot. Like, do you think PBNs work? But the question is a really difficult one to answer, because like you just said, links will always work, right? Unless Google comes up with some strange way to read people's minds, which maybe they will in the future, but I'm sure not in our lifetime. Then basically, if you consider that they're always going to consider links as powerful, then the only reason why PBNs wouldn't work is that you've made it look like a PBN and it's shit. You need to treat a PBN website as an actual website. Like the guys that I know in the industry, like that use PBNs heavily, like their PBNs are solid. Like, they're really high metric PBNs. Everything's like, it looks completely legit. Like, you could land on that website and you'd be like, okay, that's cool. It's got decent content on there, high metric stuff, It just depends how much effort you put into your PBNs. If it's the term PBN itself. Like, if we scrap that term completely and said, I have a network of high quality websites that you can link to that will give you higher rankings, suddenly everybody's thinking about something else. Yeah. So the term PBN is just keeping the quality of what you're building or what you're using down. But in fact, a PBN is just another website, and it just, whether it works or not depends on how much effort the person building that PBN puts in and how much money they spend and whatnot. So that's my take on PBNs. They work, but only work for people that build PBNs to basically be real websites.
Right. Nick says, thanks, you two blokes. Would you push/buy ads to your, and he uses the G word, in the marketplace?
Oh God, did he just swear? Did Nix, you just swore it? I can't believe that. Oh man.
I have tried it with Facebook ads. It doesn't work if you just say, I will build some PBN links for you, click here to buy. It does work if you have a service, and instead of driving them directly to your marketplace page, if you drive them over to some content that shows them exactly how to do something, and then if you can just say, if you want to get this done for you, click here. That works really well.
Yeah.
I haven't tried AdWords yet. I've been meaning to. I just, not enough hours in the day. But that's something I'm going to experiment with. But yeah, that's kind of.
I agree with you there as well, Chris, that I had Facebook ads actually running to my services on the other marketplace. I won't pitch that name too much. I had Facebook ads running to that service for a long time, and I actually have traffic. I have Clicky installed on the back end, right? So I can see where the traffic's coming from and stuff, and I can work out conversions and things like that, which has been really helpful. But I always try to think of it like this. Whether this is true now or not, I don't know, but I've always thought of it like this. Like, they say that for somebody to actually buy something, they generally need to see it at least 3 times before they make that decision to actually purchase something, you know. So that's why retargeting is so powerful and things like that. And that's why if we just think of ourselves, I mean, how many times do we see something and go, oh, buy that straight away? Even if it's something you think is really relevant to your life right now, you know, it usually takes a few times, maybe retargeting on Facebook or seeing whether they know what they're doing or learning from them first before you actually spend any money. So by sending them directly to your service saying, I will, you're just looking desperate. They don't know who you are. And it just completely ignores that reality that people need to see things. Yeah, it's a truth. I mean, here's an example. The other day I bought it was just a PDF booklet or whatever on storytelling and the skills of storytelling, because, you know, it rolls into the copywriting thing. I'd seen this floating around Facebook for quite a long time, and I have something in my book now where basically I need to construct my story so it's clear to people that are coming into my space and stuff. That took me, even me, like, who I'm a very easy person to sell to. If it's something I know that I want, I'll just, you know, I'll be like, bang, right, that's it. I don't think twice usually. But even that, like, knowing how relevant it was to me and how high quality it obviously was, and all the things that I know that could help me with, it took me maybe 3, 4, 5 times before I finally clicked the button. And sometimes, as well, to add to that, and something I read before, is that sometimes people won't buy, not because they don't like your stuff or because they don't trust you, is they'll actually get distracted in their real life. Like, you know, if someone will call them, like, oh, you know, or the phone will ring or someone will say something in front of them. Like, apparently it's a really hard thing to measure, but apparently it's actually really, really common that people aren't bouncing off your product or your service because they need more trust and stuff. They actually just get distracted by normal things in their life. So if you're just sending people straight to your ads, you've got no way of holding their attention for more than a few seconds, mostly, you know. So going back to what you were saying, Chris, about maybe teaching them something, showing them blah, 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 that's another way to hold them on the page. So you can run ads, but not straight to the services, because I did that and I learned a lesson. It cost me money. I made a bit, but in the end, I developed it to make to work for me. You know? And I don't run ads anymore. Actually, I don't need to.
Just a couple of things to add on what you said about people having to think about a decision for a long time. I jumped into Frank Kern's Inner Circle recently, and
cool.
Mulled that over for like a month, and it wasn't even that expensive. It was like $3,000.
Right.
Say that, not that expensive, but you know, I mulled that over for like a month, and I kept seeing it retargeting after retargeting after retargeting.
Yeah.
I looked at it the first time, and I finally did, but that's that. And then the other thing is, I actually teach that in the Legiit freelancing course, is to literally train people on how to use your services. Like, I made a video like on YouTube, like I guess like a year ago, maybe a little more, on how to rank an image with a SynWire blast.
Right.
And still get sales to this day from people that buy SynWire blast from me. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
It's had like 12,000 views, but
yeah,
training people how to use your services works really well. So that's just
yeah. That's really interesting, actually. As you will remember, Chris, the other day, and anybody else watching this, if you don't know, me and Russell Freddie Edmonds did an audit on his service page for his keyword research, which, again, like I said in the audit, is the keywords are great. Russell knows his keywords, and it's a really good service. But from my perspective, as somebody that owns websites and that understands and that I need keywords, I was sitting there thinking, like, okay, so I get the keywords, then what? What am I going to do? Like, I need, so basically we came up with this conclusion that we needed to educate people to actually know what to do with the keywords once they actually have them, like a strategic like part of the offer as well. So not only does he give the keywords to the customer, he also shows on the sales page how to use those keywords, like how to implement them into the content, blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's really important. I totally agree. Like, if you can educate your customers on how to actually use your services, then that can be another way to make more sales, basically. Because even if they recognize that it's important, if they don't have a strategic solution, then that can also stop them from buying anyway. Because they might, most webmasters or whatever you want to call them, SEOs or anything, know that keywords, for example, are really important. And if you've got high competition keywords, you're going to have a hard time. So you've got to get all the low hanging fruit or the high searches, low competition keywords. But if you don't have a strategy to then implement those 50 keywords that you've just been given, you're just going to have them sitting on your desktop until somebody else finds them and takes up all the rankings, and you've lost your opportunity. So so by offering a strategy, I think that's another way that you can really help people buy from you and educate them on how it actually helps.
Chris says, helpful stuff. Appreciate time spent on both of you. Oh, thank you. Glad to hear
Thanks,
that.
Chris. Thank you very much.
Ahmed says, saying the Holy Spirit bomb is weak is an insult to the entire Saiyan nation. Very tiring me. I'll go up the price now.
Oh, damn it. Oh.
Let's see. Nix says, has chat like Messenger or WhatsApp been an important closer for you? What do you would you recommend Freelancer using them? I'm going to say yes, it has. But God, it irritates me so much too.
I was going to say that.
Respect to anybody, but I get so many messages on Messenger that can easily go through the platform. But I try to answer all of them as best as I can. But yeah, you definitely will make a lot of sales that way. I don't use WhatsApp except to talk to people overseas because it's cheaper than texting. But yeah, it really would. Would you recommend freelancers using them? Yeah, it's really important. Like Facebook shows that you're a person. If you can associate your Facebook profile with your marketplace and Messenger, a lot of people are comfortable. So yes, this is kind of the answer.
I think it's it's really difficult what you just said about showing people that you are a human and stuff, because I get messages about my SEO services and my link building. And the thing is, it's an instant message, and I like to block my time out so I'm organized during the day and I have like freedom to go and do what I need to do in my life and not just have people hitting me up all day long on different time zones and stuff. So when someone sends me a private message on Facebook, I'm always at this battle between I want to answer this person because I don't want to ignore them, not for money reasons, but just for being decent. Like I want to actually answer them. But once I start getting into a conversation with them, I know it's just going to start eating up into my time, and then someone else is going to message me, and it just completely throws me off. So I'm actually at this point, I don't want to send them automated messages and dehumanize the experience there either. But I'm actually still putting this together right now. I'm considering putting together some sort of automated message where I explain to them that I've acknowledged your message and thank you. I sincerely appreciate you getting in touch, but can you send the message over here, because then I can answer you at a specific time and in full, blah 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 blah. So
yeah, I guess I showed you my message list from one day the other day.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I thought mine was bad. Like I sent mine over like, oh, look at me, and then you was like, that's nothing, man.
And that was just a personal one. Like my page, I literally just got a message on one of my pages. I'll answer you as soon as we get done here, by the way, Mike. But and then my pages get even more. So, and I'm not complaining. I love that people trust me and value my opinion, but there's only so many hours in a day, and I just I've gotten to where some that I don't respond unless they immediately get to the question, and I know that sucks.
Let me just I just need to
right there.
Yep, I've got some technical issues here. One sec.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
It says to pass the phone to your girlfriend. He must be talking to you because I don't know.
Oh, right. Okay. Can you see me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just tell anybody who plans to buy this will make you laugh, Chris. Basically, I've got a MacBook Pro with the USB-C thing, so all of my kit is obviously standard USB, and even though after buying like a USB splitter type thing, I still can't fit enough things in there, like the microphone and the HDMI to the second screen and stuff like that, and that's why I have to keep switching stuff around. So yeah, it is actually a pain in the ass, but there you go.
Yeah, you that. Just go buy a webcam and use that.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I mean, I'm right now. I'm in the middle of Thailand, so like getting hold of decent kit, I have to like order it online and hope that it gets here and stuff. It's getting better, but that's the problem I've got. So I'm actually going to get myself a nice webcam soon. But at the moment, I'm just using my onboard one. I actually managed to get this mic here, this Blue Snowball, yesterday. It got here. So I'm just in time, really, because I've had all sorts of problems with mics and stuff. I've got this little Samsung Go thing, which I've only just started using. So anyway, so yeah, so there we go. But yeah, you're right. I need to get myself a webcam and then have.
Don't sweat it. If people that have been doing these with me from the beginning remember some of the struggles I had.
Yeah.
So and now I think it looks pretty sharp. So.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
don't
definitely.
Beat yourself up. This is basically what I'm saying.
Well,
so for email outreach, do you still pitch your SEO, and he puts this in quotes, microservices targeting SEOs, or you pitch full-on monthly retainers for local businesses? That's up to you. Like, whatever you want to do. If you want to be doing an agency and pitching monthly services, you do that. If you want to do, and scroll up the screen. If you want to do, marketplace stuff, do that. Just figure out what it is, figure out put their pain points, and tell them how Ahmed is the guy that can remove them. He's got the cure for what ails you, and just email them that way. I wouldn't use the word pitch, but there you go.
Have you seen what Russell Freddie Edmonds has just said? I think he's signing out. He said, sorry guys, 2 a.m. in the morning, and I'm just starting to turn into a pumpkin. Cheers, Barry, for the audit, dude, and them copywriting bombs. I'll get that sales page rewritten on the flight to Chicago. Chris, thanks, man, for everything, and thanks to the team. P.S. Can't wait to see the new sunglasses.
Before you go, I want to ask, what do you think of the way that he's implemented the changes you gave him?
Oh, what, the ones that he hasn't done yet?
Yeah.
I spent all of my hard, precious time on doing for free for him. I don't know. Maybe this goes back to the reciprocation and me placing guilt on him for him to actually take some action. No, to be fair, he did say to me that he's going to do the sales page again over the weekend. So I'll be looking out for that, Mr. Russell Freddie Edmonds. I'll be watching. And for anybody else that gets audits off me as well, it is completely free, but the only rule is that you actually need to take action and change what I tell you to, or at least change something based on what I'm telling you. So if you just take an audit and don't do anything, don't come complaining that you're not making any sales, because I will call you out publicly. Booyah. But it's for your own good as well. So anybody who wants an audit, who's getting an audit, it's for your own good.
Nick says, what would your process be for a freelancer who is starting out to hit 5 figures in first 12 months? First of all, I don't like arbitrary goals like that, so I'm not going to answer that specifically. But the first thing I would do would be to do everything that Barry has said so far, and then figure out ways to increase the value of your average sale. So like any service you have, offer every other service you have as an extra, build packages. So basically anything you can do like that to bump up your average sale, if you make from 10 to 20 to 100 to 1,000 to whatever it is. So that's kind of the key, I think, to that, in addition to everything else we've talked about, copy and building an audience and things like that. So what do you say about that?
Yeah, I think that's really solid advice as well. Having an arbitrary goal like that, I've done it all myself in the past. Like these books of mine are filled with all these sort of like weird sort of non-specific goals, and I find that they just lead to nothing in the end. You've got to have a specific goal. But onto more of what you were just saying, Chris. Increasing the average order value of your services is, again, one of the easiest ways that you can actually start making more money, because there's one, it gives them more options, which is obviously, gives you more opportunity to make more money. But the second thing is it's the mindset thing of the customer. If that person has already taken the leap of faith and clicked order, to your service, right, and they're sold and they're on that last little page, they're in the mindset right then of like, they're in the buyer's mindset, as people say. So they're in the buyer's mindset, and then they've got all of this stuff like in front of them. And if it's priced properly against your main service, and it's anchored properly in a decent pricing strategy, then you will find that sometimes, and this happens to me all the time, I actually make more money on my additional services than I do on the front end. A lot. If I sat there and actually worked it out, it might even be more than I make on the front end services. You know, so
a Google Maps service that's, I think the base is, I don't even know my own prices anymore, but it's $30 and the average sale on it is probably like 70.
Really?
The extras that people buy.
Yeah. So I have the same experience. I've got, I think I'm just trying to think of one of mine. So my $149 service, a lot of the time people will buy all the extras, and that comes to like nearly 400, you know. So, and sometimes
hardworking people make in 3 days.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And that's just from me offering the same things that I have on offer anyway on other parts of the service. And and going back to what I was saying about people assume that freelancing is just this little thing that doesn't make any money and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I'll get orders like that, like $400 orders, and I might get 5, 6, 7 of those a day, including some of the others on a good day, you know. And like $1,000 days are very common for me now. Like in the past, it was like, holy shit, like these guys making $1,000 a day. Holy, it's like, honestly, I used to make $1,000 a month in Thailand when I was like in my early 20s, and I used to like teach English as a foreign language and all that. This was before Facebook and everything.
Jesus,
you know,
how old are you?
How old am I? I'm 160. I'm 35. So, I'm a baby really, but I've been here since I was 22. Oh, wow. So I've been a long time in Thailand, and I've, you know, but yeah. So my point is that for anybody thinking that freelancing is just like, oh, that's just what the other guys do, and I want to jump straight ahead and be an affiliate marketer making $100,000 a month. Yeah, that does work sometimes, but don't underestimate the earning power of being a freelancer and where it can take you. Because as I've just said, I used to earn about, it was actually less than $1,000 a month. It was probably $800 a month, which is probably impossible to live on in the West, but I was in Thailand. Mm-hmm. And now I can earn like, you know, $1,000 in a day, like often, very often. You know, so it's amazing that what freelancing can do. And on top of that, it's the freedom. I don't sit here all day having to fulfill all these orders because I have a system and I have a team, and it all runs nicely, and it's very simple actually.
Yeah, that was the biggest breakthrough for me in the last 2 years. And this is probably going to get us into a whole nother tangent, but was staff. Like George, who works for me, he's 1,000 times better at fulfillment than I ever was. And it's freed me up to do so many things like training, and there'd be no Legiit if I hadn't brought him on. And that's why I get pissed when people call him my VA, because he's not just a VA. But anyway, that having systems and having people to do some of it for me was the biggest breakthrough I've had in probably the last 2 years.
Really?
It's an obvious thing. It shouldn't have taken me that long, but it did.
Yeah, systems is a thing that I struggled for a long time with. I remember like way back when my one of my first kind of link building services kicked off, and it just exploded, and I needed somebody to help me because I couldn't fulfill the orders at all. And I had this guy, his name was Andy. I'll never forget his name because to this day I still don't know where he went, and he left me right in the shit. So basically there was actually 140 plus something, maybe 140, 150 is the number I remember, different files with different links, all for different customers and different URLs, all just like spewed out onto my desktop, like on email, and that was it. And I'm like, what the fuck can I do with this? Like, there's all these guys waiting for their services to be completed, and this guy was reliable up until this point, and then one day he just like threw all this stuff at me with no organization whatsoever, And I was this close to just giving up completely. The stress levels just went through the roof because I had people like basically shouting at me saying, I need my stuff, it's late. And then there was this guy, and it was just all this like wave of negativity. And the funny thing is the way I got over this was I'd never taken pre-workout in my life before, and my friend had pre-workout, right? And he gave me like two like scoops of pre-workout, and I took it about sort of 10 o'clock at night, and I worked from 10 o'clock at night until about 4 o'clock in the morning, just trying to get through all of these different files and match them up with the customers and stuff like that. And it was just ridiculously stressful. And the reason why it was so stressful is because I didn't have a proper system in place. And now I have way more sales and higher volume than I ever did back then. And it runs 100 times smoother. I mean, it gets, my system in a nutshell is this, right? For anybody else watching this that wants to know, a very, very simple system that I think you could use for anything is the order comes in onto my marketplace, and I have instructions that tells them only what to provide me with. So they will provide me with the URL, and they will provide me with 3 keywords or 5 or 10, depending on what they've ordered. Right? And that is it. Right? Any other copy or text or communication around it just gets ignored. Right? They have to send it to me like this. Then I have somebody that takes that information. Right? That person does not have to speak English. Right? This is the beauty of it. Right? It has to be so simple that you can teach it to somebody that doesn't even know English. Right? So then they take this information and they place it on a Trello card, and all the Trello card has got the date here, and then so they've got the Trello columns, and then the card will be, for example, Alpha Plus, like one of the names of my services, and in brackets it will be 3 or something. So then I know, looking at that, there will be 3 Alpha Pluses ordered for that day. I click inside it, all it's got is she has placed the order details 1, 2, 3 down in the Trello system with the order number on the marketplace. Then all that happens there is somebody else who on the team takes that information, fulfills the service, and when it's done, they'll place a link in this same Trello card back to the completed file ready to be forwarded to the customer. And I'll just use a color-coded system, which will be blue for being ordered, yellow for in progress, and then green for delivered to customer, like that. And then you can scroll through on your phone, on the iPad or whatever, and you see visually what's been ordered, what's been completed, what's still sitting there from 5 days ago, and exactly what details are related to what order number and stuff. And it's so hopefully that explains my system, but it's very simple. And before I had that, something would get sent to me and I'd be like, right, what's the URL?
What he just said, he could have charged you $1,000 for, and he just gave it to you for free. So I hope everybody
does. It has honestly, it really has. I'm actually really glad that I've been able to talk about this, because that's another thing. I talk about like copywriting and stuff, but if I didn't have those systems in place, I probably wouldn't be sitting here teaching people how to do what I do today, because I would have just like lost my mind and gone and done something else. That first experience with like 140 something files or whatever was a real slap in the face. And I was this close to walking. I was this close to just I was like that to the world. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to do something else. So then that forced me to develop a very simple system. And just to reiterate this point, if anybody develops a system, just a new system for their tracking and their fulfillment, just make sure that the system can be understood by somebody that does not speak English as their first language, because it doesn't mean that, you can go out there and get cheap labor and stuff. Like, I've got people on my team from the West and stuff they're not cheap labor or whatever, but what it does is if you can teach it to somebody that doesn't have English as their first language, it's so simple that everybody will understand it, and that's what you need it to be. It needs to be simple. If it's not simple, you're not free, basically. You're going to be confused. You go off for the weekend with your mates or something, or you go drinking one night, you wake up in the morning, you're not going to understand what all this stuff is. So you just have to make a really, really simple system that can be understood by your yourself in a completely drunk or hungover state, or yourself like who has gone on vacation for 3 weeks, or a foreigner who does not even speak your own language. If you can create a system that's that simple to understand, then you can scale your freelancing business to as basically big as you want, you know.
Ahmed says, I was asking the question, and he's talking about the email question from before. I was asking the question because I know Barry is mainly on freelance marketplaces. And he said he does outreach. So I wanted to see how he'd go about pitching, and he's mocking me there, microservices in cold emails.
So asking me how I would do that.
Yeah.
I actually don't pitch anything on a cold email as such. I don't do cold emailing. The emails that I do collect, which is like a really big part of what I'm trying to teach people. The emails that I do collect are actually customers of mine already. So they're not cold emails as such. I mean, I consider cold emails to be literally like, this person has never heard of me in my life. And actually, this brings me to a point. I'm sure some guys and girls watching this see these people on Facebook and stuff pitching this this idea that you can go out doing cold emailing and you will land 50K a month clients and stuff like that. But what I've seen is the people that are pitching that sort of idea, my theory on it is that because that person is so well known anyway in the industry, because they have all these followers and stuff like that, they are not actually truly pitching cold. You know, a lot of the people that will take them on from their initial email will already know them anyway. You know, like here's an example. If you're into SEO, or you know SEO or something like that, like it's just an example off the top of my head. If Alex Becker, right, one of the world's most known, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but one of the biggest names in the internet marketing industry, who started in SEO, right? He's known by hundreds of thousands of people. As I said, I admire what he's done, but if he sent out an email, right, to somebody about SEO, the likelihood is that that person is going to know who he is anyway. So he could say, I know he doesn't do this, but I'm just using him as an example. He could say, oh, I've cold emailed X amount of people and I've made 50 grand out of like 10 people. That's how you make 500 grand a month. Thank you very much. But the thing is, it's not a true cold email, you know, because that person is already well known anyway. So other guys in the industry that are known as email marketers that are well known, when they are teaching their cold pitch emails, I'm questioning whether it's truly a cold pitch or not.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, you know, so mine aren't cold pitches. Mine are, and I don't pitch. I mean, I know you don't like that word either, but it's just a word we're using right now. Yeah. My emails don't sell anything. And to be honest, I've been a little bit inconsistent with my emails, and I know that I need to basically sort that out. But email has been a really powerful thing for me. If you're talking money, I've made a lot of money with emails, but possibly more importantly, really going back to the networking thing, the emails have allowed me to basically get replies from people that talk to me like, hey Barry, like, thanks for the email and stuff. So what do you think? And they'll respond. I'll send it out to a list that might have thousands of people on it, but I get personal responses back. Because when I write an email, I'll write like I would write to you, Chris, or write to Russell, or write to Ahmed or Nix or something. And I'll be like, oh, hey, man, like, I'm just thinking. And I actually try to just picture myself talking to one person as you would in a real email, you know. So email has been really important and a powerful thing for me. But going back to the cold email thing, I don't completely believe in cold email for my own uses, and every email that I send out is a warm email or just somebody that I know very well, you know.
Cool. All right, Russell says good night. Nick says before Facebook. See how long we talk? We're like 10 minutes back on questions. Jeff says I'm older. Georgia, who my director of operations, who I was talking to a little while ago, says hello.
I never know how to. I've seen you around Georgia. I never
pronouncing it right. He gives me shit about that. I do my best.
The Georgia. You'll have to teach us that.
I'm gonna kiss his ass a little bit right now. He absolutely key to to my business, and
really,
I don't know that if he hadn't helped me streamline it, that I don't know that Legiit would even exist right now. So
wow, that's impressive, man.
and that's why I get irritated when people refer to him as my VA, because there's anything wrong with being a VA, but it just doesn't describe the breadth of what he does.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So Nick says, at what income level would you recommend to start outsourcing all the operational work as a freelancer? Day one.
Yeah. Good question. This is, day one. This is a really common question. And and something I've actually got in this notebook that I'm going to talk about in one of my videos. For anybody else watching this doesn't know about what I'm planning to do, I'm going to start doing like short, hopefully 5-minute videos on like topics that are completely related to freelancing and marketplaces. So, the top 3 headlines that I've used that have, converted sales, and one of the topics is actually about this. At what point should I start outsourcing my work? So the first question to answer that, I think, would be, how much do you actually need to live on? Because we can all say, like, I know you're kind of half joking, Chris, but like, it's true. Like, if you can outsource everything from day one, do it, like, straight away, like, just do it. But sometimes people don't have that, like, it's not a case of being brave. It's a case of, like, if they outsource everything and everything's still, they don't make enough profit by outsourcing, then they're going to be screwed and might be forced out of freelancing altogether back into the workplace, or, or they won't be able to cover rent or something like that. So there's all these different factors involved to that question. But I would just say, like, what's like really get good on your budgeting. I wouldn't say like live like a pauper or nothing, but like make some sacrifices for sure. I mean, when I first started making like really good sales and that, I could have just hoarded the money and kept it to myself, but like it would have just imploded if I hadn't actually gone out there and looked for someone to help. And one thing, it's quite scary for a lot of people to outsource, because then they're like, oh shit, but that guy's going to take all my profit and I was looking forward to da. But you got to remember, like, this, we're completely free to pull in, to basically let people go if we want, use them 1 month, not use them the next month. You don't have to commit to like the rest of your life paying them all this profit. And the way that you can do that is by putting them on a trial, and obviously not being misleading, but you can put them on a trial basis of, say, let's see how this works out a month down the line, and be completely upfront and say, this might not work out from a business aspect in terms of profit, but if it does, then great, we will continue. And you will get people still like applying and working with you. And that's the way I've done it. And then some people I've let go for 2 months, and then some people I've brought them back 2 months later and continue to work with me. So I'd say definitely take the leap as soon as you can, in terms of like, if whatever you can live on, the minimum amount that you can live on, do that, outsource what you can, and then play it by ear as you go every day. And then just be a bit brave as well. I mean, if after a week you haven't made that many sales and you still have someone fulfilling your services, just hang on, because it's only a week out of your whole life. Like, just hang on for a month. If after a month you're like, okay, maybe I need to go back to the drawing board, you can then say, okay, the trial didn't work out. You did a great job. I'm really happy, but this is the business as it is right now, and it's growing. It's not based on investment and stuff. It's based on the profit that actually comes in day to day. So we can re-evaluate this again once I start bringing sales in and stuff.
Great advice. Trust is a lifesaver. Ahmed says, definitely selling to people with whom you've built trust with already from previous low ticket services or offers. Yeah, I teach that in the freelancing course also. Is the whole point of the course really is to build up a repeat customer base, because it's much, much easier to sell to someone you've already sold to than it costs to sell to someone you've already sold to than it does to get a new customer, even on a marketplace where some of the customer traffic is built in, which is part of my long-term vision, but that's another discussion.
Have you ever noticed that, well, I'm sure you notice this all the time, everyone's talking about bringing in traffic, which is obviously great, but very few people talk about how much easier it is to just do a service that people enjoy and then resell to those same people again. It's just like, it's basically, you've got them in once and it's free traffic. Like Becca understands this a lot, and that's why Market Hero is doing well and blah, blah, blah. The lifetime value of a customer is something that a lot of people overlook, and they treat them as a churn and burn type thing, when the cheapest way to make more money is to just ensure that you do the best that you can up front, and then offer them more valuable things down the line. And they are far, far more receptive to open to you to actually spending more money with you. And you don't have to pay to bring them in, or spend even more time telling them who you are and what you do, because they already know you. So it's that's why I'm always saying to people, like, build up your email list and just don't ignore it, because you're sitting here going, I'm thinking of one particular person, but I won't tell you who it is. But he has emails, and I asked him a while ago, like, are you doing anything with these emails? And he was like, oh no, man, like, I'm just not yet. I've been busy and blah, blah, blah. Like, busy with what? Like fixing a few images, like worrying about why you haven't made any sales today, or like, and bringing out a new service because you think that that's going to, like, man, like, your priorities are completely wrong. You've already got emails of all your customers already who already love what you do. Like, send them an email, man. Like, that's where you're going to start making all your money on the back end.
Also, you know? Email, if you ever decide to go from, say, SEO clerks over to Legiit, you then have a customer base, but for real, that you then have a way to reach people and say, I'm over here now. You know, I used to be on another one, and I conquered that one.
I like it. That was smart.
That's one of the ways that I, brought people over. But another reason that email is important is what happened yesterday. Imagine if you build your entire business around one platform.
Yeah.
It goes away. Like Facebook did yesterday.
I know. Yeah.
But that email is not going to go away. As long as there's an internet, we're going to have email. So it's important to have email addresses. I mean, I suppose if the internet went away, then that's kind of the end of the world.
Yeah, that's another story.
You own that asset, and you can take it to whatever business, whatever platform, wherever you go. So that's another reason.
Totally. That's actually the first reason why I started collecting my customers' emails. It wasn't because sorry?
You go over to Legiit.
Yeah, basically. It was out of being a bit afraid, actually, of like security and stuff. It wasn't out of like, oh, I'm going to resell to these customers and stuff. I was literally thinking, if this goes down and I've got like thousands of customers sitting here that buy from me repeatedly, I could just, like, through just something that happens, I could lose everything that I've worked for. Absolutely everything. I mean, it was just like it kept me up at night. It really did. It was like people like probably don't know this, but when I went from like earning like pretty shitty money as a teacher to earning like significant amounts of money and stuff in real world standards, and relatively good money on the internet and stuff, people in my real life assumed that like I'd had all these, everything was sorted and I was like, living happily ever after and blah, blah, blah. But what they didn't realize is that I was like deathly afraid of losing what I'd built up, like in one heartbeat, like i.e. the website goes down or something like that. And that kept me up at night. So all these other guys that I know were like, oh yeah, he's got a new car, he's got this and that and look at him, like, he's, and they was always asking me questions, and there's been some jealous people in my life that I've had to let go as well. What they didn't know is at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm like lying up with my eyes open going, fuck, like what would I do? So then that's why I decided to start collecting people's emails. And then only after I started emailing them was when I discovered how powerful it was in terms of repeat customer and revenue and stuff. So,
your revenue source going away is why Legiit exists in the first place, because I'm not putting anybody down or any other product down here, but the one that I was using before just completely unreliable. And when it was down for 2-3 days, and that income just completely shut off.
Horrible, man.
I can't have that. So then I moved over to my own site. I was doing pretty well with that. And then a couple of people were like, can I sell through your site too? I was like, well, maybe I should just start a marketplace. And just to add on to some things that I think will be helpful here, I had the benefit of knowing a really good developer who would partner with me on it. And the way I met that developer was I had sold him a $16 service on
really
the marketplace. And
no way. Holy shit. Look at that.
So my point there is to, that's first of all, build those relationships with people.
Yeah.
On your marketplaces, and never think of just a $5 sale as a $5 sale. Cause that's that $16 sale has been a multi-million-dollar business.
Man, that's really impressive. I did not know that that's how it happened. That just really sort of hammers home the point of actually treating people as humans and networking, but actually becoming friends with people rather than just going, oh, I'm going to network and stuff. I'm a network marketer, but actually like getting involved with people and, and knowing what they do and how you can help each other and stuff. I didn't know that about Legiit. I'd actually thought about this before. I thought like, how did Chris like come to create this bloody massive marketplace? I mean, I'm sure like loads of people in the past and myself, I thought to myself like, oh, I'd love to have a marketplace. Like before Legiit and everything, people were saying, well, why don't you open a marketplace and stuff? And I'm like, dude, I don't know anybody. Like, who am I going to, I don't know like who could design anything. I haven't got a clue how to even start. So I just gave up on it.
And this may be getting old too. Becker told me how much it cost him to develop Conquer. And I was like, well, shit, I can afford that.
Really?
And that's what kind of got me started down the path of maybe I should do this. Turns out they're either full of shit or he got it explains the problems, because it would cost me way more than it did.
Really? Yeah. I mean, like I've used like on the other marketplace, like I use like the beta themes and stuff, and I have like a little bit of involvement in the basically in the usability from like a seller's perspective and stuff, and I do sort of give input sometimes. I've seen the types of problems that can happen, which is some of them are really, really scary actually. I'll tell you about this one example, which could have made me a multi-millionaire overnight if I had been a different type of person. Basically, on the other marketplace, there was a massive security issue, which I found out by accident. Basically, when I came to withdraw to my bank account, to my PayPal account from the escrow account on that marketplace, there was something wrong with my internet or something at that point, and it basically, I clicked it to withdraw, and I did it again, and it actually withdrew twice and took me into negative. So there was actually a possibility for me to withdraw as much money as I wanted that was in that escrow system sitting there right then, straight to my PayPal and done a runner. Right. It was pretty scary. So I contacted the owner, really nice bloke, lives in South Carolina, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
That's right.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you might need to talk to each other, man. He's a really nice bloke, man. I don't get to talk to him that much at the moment because I think he's developing, like he's doing housing developments and stuff like that. But yeah, really nice guy, man. Like family guy, really cool. I like him. But yeah, so I contacted him and I said like, hey man, like, I've just been able to withdraw twice and go into negative. Like, I think you need to sort this out. And he's like, shit. But I could have just gone, oh, thanks, happy days. But like stupid. And he also told me about another incident, and this was when I really understood that, like, yeah, this is a decent guy. There was a fraudulent case where somebody had used like credit cards, like fake credit cards or copied credit cards or something, to basically run up $10,000 worth of services on the marketplace and basically take all the services, like all the deliveries, and possibly sell them onto something else like that. And then when it went through the system, he basically lost $10,000 because it was like fake money and something to do with the banks, and they had to take it back off him. But then the people, like the sellers like me, had already done all the services. So he was You know what I mean? So he had to pay $10,000 out of his own money to pay the service providers, but they didn't know, and I'm probably only one of the few people that knew about it, was that he, out of it, so he basically had to refund all that money that was all fake money, but the service providers had already done all the services and it wasn't their fault. And so he paid 10 grand out of his own money to actually, make sure the sellers got what they paid for, what they did. So impressive, that was that gave me a lot of faith in the guy actually, and and that's why I've been very loyal to him. I don't do anything sneaky there or try to like pull people off the site for my own benefit or anything like that. Stuff like that goes a long way, so that's cool. But yeah, I'll send you his details, man, if you want to talk to him, because he's got he's actually a coder by his career as a coder, and he started that marketplace, he told me, because similar thing, he needed somewhere that he could safely buy SEO services without being basically scammed or something. So he created he said he built it for himself. It was somewhere he could invite people in where he could choose their services but have the money put into escrow so he can protect himself during the processing period and whatever. And then it just exploded into like a global marketplace where everybody buys and sells now. But that's how it was born. But yeah, I'll send you his details, man. He's a cool bloke, and he's got obviously all that experience and that coding experience and stuff like that.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Med says, I got a final question that's always baffled me regarding a sensitive topic, but I think it's critical for scaling an online business. When you guys hire people to deal with and message your customers on your behalf on freelance marketplaces, do you actually give them your login credentials where they get to see the money coming in? I'd have to trust them 10,000% not to withdraw their revenue to PayPal emails. Laugh out loud. It takes a long time to build that kind of trust. We are actually going to put something in place on Legiit to help prevent that. But yeah, if the system you're using doesn't have that kind of thing in place, you just have to. I mean, you can't really answer that, but
I've got a little
where you can trust them,
Yeah, I've got something to input with that actually, which might help. I have a team of people, right, doing different parts of what I do, but I have one person on the inside who is my support girl, right? And she's great. She sees everything on the inside. But in terms of the security risk of having people on the inside seeing your revenue, possibly being able to withdraw your money to their PayPal account and all that sort of scary stuff. The way that I got over this was the Trello system. So on the other marketplace at the top, when a service is placed, there's a unique part of that URL, which is the service number. So like 406 / marketplace order alpha plus / 40682 or something like that. So all I do is I take that part of the URL, which is the service number, and I have that placed into the Trello system. So when somebody comes through to fulfill the service, the only place that they need to go is onto Trello, and they have absolutely no idea what that number refers to. It only makes sense to me. And then when I go back to that marketplace, when the order has been fulfilled and posted back to the Trello card, all I need to do is highlight the order number inside the Trello card and match it with the order number inside the system of the marketplace, and then get it delivered. And that's it. So it cuts out the middle. You don't need to actually invite anybody on the inside. You just take the order number and place it into Trello, and then there's a complete barrier between what you're doing and what they're doing. And all they know is that they go into Trello. They have no idea where this comes from. I mean, they can guess if they really want to, but they still don't have access, and that's it. And so they see an order number, they just see the details, they just post it back on Trello, and that's it. And then you can also
answering your questions. How do they do that if they don't log in?
How do they do? Well, I have somebody that does the fulfillment. So, yeah. So what you're saying is, it's a good question.
To log into your account at least.
So, yeah, it's probably, I mean, that there is one person that's always going to have to log in, right? But what you want to make sure of is that person that logs in is somebody that has absolutely no idea how to fulfill your services. They do not need to be anything to do with the SEO industry, the link building, whatever, like anything to do with internet marketing. They just had to literally be like a data entry person, right? So all they need to do is go in, take that information and post it on Trello, and that's it. So they can't really steal they can look at your ideas and stuff like that, but they can't really steal anything. In terms of like money and things like that, that's something that the other marketplace has a secondary password to get into the more personal area, like the payments and stuff like that. So that's, so that obviously helps. But in terms of security on the front end, if you have somebody that in there that has no idea about the type of service that you're doing, then you'll be pretty much safe up to a point. They don't just need to make it so simple that you can again teach it to anybody, and then you're not forced to invite your competition in to look at your services and take your ideas. You just invite some data entry girl or boy in to take details, if that makes sense. So hopefully, Ahmed, that answered your question. But I mean, I was kind of caught short when you said like, but how do people not log in? There is going to have to be one person that logs in,
okay.
but that person doesn't have to know anything about the industry whatsoever. And the person fulfilling your services on the outside doesn't have to know where your services come from, because you just post the order number on the top of Trello and not a link to wherever your service is, i.e. Legiit.com. So they have no idea where you're from.
All right. So, Alan says, if you aren't scared in business, you're not doing it right. You always have to be scared. It keeps you motivated. I agree.
Yeah.
He says that the guy from SEO Clerks is in Hendersonville, North Carolina.
That's it. Yep. Yeah, there we go. North Carolina. Yeah, I'll just say about Alan. Hey, Alan. Alan's really cool. Like, me and Alan have known each other for a long time. And Alan sends me some really good like wisdom and business advice and just like life advice, really. And he's really helped me out over the years. So Alan, thanks a lot. You really appreciate it, man. Some of the stuff that you've helped me with has really gone a long way. So anybody else, you need to know Alan. He's a really cool bloke.
Right.
There we go.
I think that Ahmed says, I think that trustworthy person should be someone like a girlfriend. 2019 resolution, get a girlfriend just for logging in. Ahmed, nobody here thinks you're going to get a girlfriend.
Shall I tell you a secret? I'll tell you a secret here, Ahmed. Only people watching the live stream will actually know about this. And I was hesitating. But the person who logs in to take the order details from my business is my girlfriend.
There you go.
There you go. And she has no idea what people are talking about. Like, I want to do link building, and all this. These are my keywords. And that's kind of made me realize that that's why it's important to, she's taught me to find a very simple system that I can apply and teach to anybody, because she doesn't have a clue what's going on in there. She just takes the order details and places them for me. So yeah, so she's trusted there.
So has anybody else noticed the sun coming up behind Barry throughout the course of this?
Oh God, no. Damn, what's the time?
We've been over 2 hours now. So
yeah,
he's probably to wrap it up.
Yeah, I set the alarm for like 5:45 this morning. So I'm pretty intense over here.
All right.
It's 9:15 in the morning here. So
I'm not going to read that out loud for your sake, Ahmed.
I've just read that. Oh, sorry about that, man.
I think we'll probably wrap it up now because it's almost 11 o'clock here. But do you have anything else you can say, or anything you want to?
Yeah. So for anybody else that's watching this that doesn't sort of know what I do or what I'm planning to do in the future, so I have a Facebook group which has developed over the years. Not developed over the years that I've developed my freelancing business into basically becoming a successful business with automation and teams and stuff. That has led me to develop a Facebook group called the Freelancers Templar, like the Knights Templar basically. And there's also a website called the freelancerstemplar.com, which is just at the moment a landing page where I'm going to be inviting people in to basically learn from my videos and stuff like that. And that's free at the moment. So anybody that wants to basically learn from me, Chris has some really cool stuff to share. I have my sort of way of doing things as well. So I think it could be a good way to sort of get different opinions and stuff. So what I'm saying is you're invited to the Facebook group, the Freelancers Templar.
That's actually scrolling across your screen right now. So
is it? Oh, okay, I couldn't see that. So
.com/Barry will take you right there.
Awesome. So yeah, so that's what I'd like to do. Just invite anybody in that wants to learn. Maybe you want to start freelancing. Maybe you're already like a digital marketer looking to sort of take things up on the next level. There's all sorts of different people in my group. There's complete beginners that haven't earned anything, and there are also multi-millionaire marketers in there as well, which share stuff. So it's getting really cool, and I'm getting really into that group. So I'm going to be doing videos on what I've done, all the stuff in the back end. And remember, I still do freelancing right now. So it's not like I'm sort of taking theory from something that I learned a little bit ago and now do something else. I literally still do this to this day. And when I finish this live, I'm going to log back in and check my sales and stuff like that. And that's the sort of stuff that I'm going to be teaching in the group. So, and also quick thanks to everybody on Legiit that has allowed me to do audits on their service listings. Hopefully you're going to start getting some some real benefits and increase in sales on that. I've still got a lot of you guys that are on my list. I haven't forgot about any of you, but it takes me quite a while to get through everything. But you guys on my audit list, I'm going to go through your Legiit listings and do it one by one, and I'll be posting it to the group. So hopefully you and the other guys can get stuff out of it as well. And that's it, guys. So join the group. I hope you enjoyed the live, and thanks a lot, Chris, for inviting me on. It's been fun.
Pleasure. This was the longest one of these I've ever done, and there's still a bunch.
Well, it's because I talk a lot at the moment, don't I? I've got a lot to talk about right now, so
people really enjoyed it. I know I did too. Appreciate you.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, definitely. It's been good, man.
We'll do it again soon.
Definitely, cool, man. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, appreciate it. Been a great chat, man. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks, guys, for all you people watching, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right.
Cheers, man. Peace.